All right, Human Geography, here we are again. I am Miss Levy, and this is the Unit 3 Culture Review Wrap-Up. Here we are going to put together our last big picture items and finish up our review. So as we go through our review, here we have our language families and our location of the major language families in the world. You know that the most commonly spoken language family in the world is the Indo-European language family, and you see that here in this lighter sort of sea green color. And you can see that's all through Europe, Eastern Europe, Russia, down here through India, over into Afghanistan. That would be the Indo-Aryan part of the branch of the Indo-European. Here we have our Balto-Slavic with Russian, Eastern European. And then we're going to have down here in Southern Europe our Romance languages, as well as over here in Latin America. Romance would be Spanish, Portuguese, French, Italian. And then in the Germanic branch, we have here in Northern European, we have our English speaking, as well as over here in the United States and Canada. Obviously, you also see the Indo-European over here in Australia, New Zealand as well, down here in South Africa too. So again, the most widely diffused is obviously our Indo-European. Again, we have that all through Europe and into Russia, over here into India, over to Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran. We have this over here to Australia, New Zealand, over here to South Africa, Latin America, all the way into Central and Caribbean, obviously, and into Anglo-America, United States, and Canada. This is so widely diffused, obviously, because of exploration. So colonization is why English is so diffused. But really, exploration, Spanish is obviously from the Spanish explorers, and then obviously English from colonization. Next, we have here is our Sino-Tibetan. Here in China, you see this would be the major languages within China. The most second largest language family is Sino-Tibetan, and the largest number of first language speakers in the world is Mandarin, and China has over 1 billion people. But obviously, the most common second language speaking would be English. Then down here you see in sub-Saharan Africa, this is the Niger-Congo. Niger-Congo, the most commonly spoken language, the lingua franca within Eastern Africa. Here is Swahili. Swahili, again, is the most common language spoken there with the Niger-Congo. And then through Northern Africa over here into Southwest Asia is the Afro-Asiatic. This would be Arabic. This also has Hebrew in it as well. So this is Arabic. Obviously, Northern Africa is mainly Islamic countries. It's also mostly Arab is spoken here, as well as here in the Arabian Peninsula. This is Arabian Peninsula, where Saudi Arabia is. And at the top west of this Arabian Peninsula is where Israel is, which is where a homeland of the Jewish people, and that's where Hebrew is mainly spoken. Next, we have our major religions. So again, with English, as English diffused, so did Christianity. Colonization, we will learn so much about, and colonization is the main purpose for colonization. They call it the 3 G's, God, gold, and glory, so to spread Christianity. But obviously, as the English colonized, they also spread English as well. So here we have our major religions, and we have our 3 major monotheistic religions. The largest is Christianity. The fastest growing is Islam. And then the smallest of the 3 is Judaism. Monotheistic means believes in only one God. And then our largest of the polytheistic would be Hinduism. Hinduism is also the largest ethnic religion. So let's take a look at where we see these. Christianity is the most widespread. So Christianity, we see here is within Christianity, there are three branches. We have the Roman Catholicism, Protestantism, and Eastern Orthodox. And you notice here through Eastern Orthodox, this is in Eastern Europe, Greece and Eastern Europe, and then into Russia. One of the largest denominations of Eastern Orthodox is the Russian Orthodox Church, also Greek Orthodox there. Then you will see that Catholicism, Roman Catholicism, this is here in some parts of Poland, then Poland, Czech Republic, and then into Italy, Spain, Portugal, France, and over here in Ireland. You see this Ireland. So wherever the people of Spain, Portugal, France, Italy, where most of them settled throughout the world, they took Catholicism with them. That's why 98% of the people in Latin America are Roman Catholic, because people from Spain and Portugal came, Portugal and Brazil, obviously, Spain and in the other countries, and then French in a few. They also brought with them Roman Catholicism. Then you see that the most of Northwest Europe, the UK here, Scandinavian countries, and Germany are mostly Protestant countries. So where you saw mostly English, Scandinavian, and German people settling, they took Protestantism with them. That's why you see mainly Protestantism and in the United States and in Canada. Next, we have here is through Northern Africa, here in Southwest Asia, is Islam. And you can see that Sunni Islam, Islam is broken up into two branches, Sunni and Shia. Vast majority of people are Sunni Muslims. You can see where they are located, Northern Africa, here in Saudi Arabia, here's Turkey, over here into Pakistan, Afghanistan, and into most of the other stands. You see that here in Indonesia as well. So next would be the branch of Shia Islam, and you see that's a lot smaller. That would be here in Iran, here in Iraq as well, Azerbaijan as well. Next is Hinduism. Hinduism is the largest of the ethnic religions, and ethnic religion of Hinduism is here mainly in India. You see some here in Nepal as well, but vast majority of Hindus do live still here in India. And you see the other, one of the other major ethnic religions is Judaism, and you see that there's right here on the northwest coast of the Arabian Peninsula. You see that bright color there? That's Israel. That's where Judaism. And then Jews are obviously, because of 2,000 years ago, the Romans, the Jews were sent away and persecuted, and so they scattered in what they call the diaspora. So most of the Jews for the last 2,000 years have been dispersed throughout the entire world. So many in Russia, so many in Europe, so many in the United States. So throughout the entire world, you see large Jewish populations. So because of the diaspora. Next, here is Buddhism. Buddhism is in East and Southeast Asia. So East and Southeast Asia. So again, Buddhism, East and Southeast Asia. We see this in China. Southeast Asia would be like Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, Vietnam. And then you see the three major universalizing Buddhism here, East, Southeast Asia. Islam, again, Northern Africa, Southwest Asia. And then Christianity is throughout Europe and Russia and all through the Western Hemisphere. Then we have Judaism here is on the northwest coast of the Arabian Peninsula. Hinduism is here in the in India. You see also obviously Australia is going to be Protestantism because so many of the people from Australia was settled by the British as well. Next we have, here's the Middle East, again, Southwest Asia, and I just want to zoom in here because this is Israel here on the northwest coast. Jerusalem, we know, is one of the most significant reasons why there's difficulty or conflict between Christianity, Islam, and the Jews is because sacred sites sit right on top of each other. So, for example, for the Jews, the Wailing Wall is a very sacred sacred location for them. But right where the Wailing Wall is where the Dome of the Rock is, where the Muslims believe that Muhammad ascended to heaven. So let's go over what a lingua franca is. A lingua franca is a language that facilitates communication or trade between people who speak different native languages. Again, lingua means language and franca means of money. So this is really the language of money and trade. The world's lingua franca is English. In the lingua franca in China is Mandarin. The lingua franca in Northern Africa is Arabic. And the lingua franca in Sub-Saharan and East Africa is Swahili. Again, this is a language that people who speak different languages will switch into in order to facilitate trade. It's the language of trade. And historically, how did English become the world's lingua franca? For various reasons. You have British colonialism spread English all over the world, and the British were such a powerful empire that English became that dominant language to facilitate. You also saw the role of the United States military throughout the world and in different conflicts, whether it be World War I, World War II, Korean conflict, the war in Vietnam, that we have so many bases throughout the world where we have soldiers stationed. Increase of U.S. political and economic power. Because we have so much political and economic power, it's very important for people in other countries to learn English. Migration of English speakers. This is not only from the United States, but this is obviously English speakers from the UK. People leaving Australia, UK, South Africa, going all over the world and spreading English with them. This is the early popularity of the English and American arts and entertainment industries, movies, music, all being in English. So people would learn English for the arts and entertainment. And English is a social status of education. It really showed that people had gone to different countries and become educated. Economic examples that show how globalization is causing English to become the world's lingua franca. Remember, globalization is that ideas, economic, political, all of these variables, that it leads to a more interconnected world, that you have something like Justin Bieber being popular all over the world, Apple being popular all over the world, and Honda being popular all over the world. This is this idea of globalization, that we are interconnected. And economic examples that English is becoming a lingua franca due to globalization. This would be like business, trade, and packaging. So whenever you look at packaging, it's all written in English. Trade is all done in English. Business is done in English. It's the language of academia in so many of the more sophisticated and higher levels of universities and such. English is a significant part of that academia. It's the language of science and medicine. It's the common use for tourism and travel. So it's mainly an economic example would be the most important, would be for business and trade. That if you're going to be an important person in global trade, you need to learn English. You need to be able to speak English in order to facilitate that for the global marketplace. Social examples for how globalization is causing English to become the world's lingua franca. This would be the popularity of English music and radio, popularity of English film and TV and sports, the internet being so much of it being facilitated in English and written in English, print publishing. This would be like magazines like New York Times or Wall Street Journal, or even magazines, even internet sites like YouTube and such, all of this in English. Education opportunities, to be able to go to universities outside of their country, they need to be able to speak English, especially the best universities being in England and in the US. And cool factor and status symbol of being able to speak English. Next, we talk about bilingualism. Bilingualism is when a country has multiple official languages. This would be like Canada, Belgium. Both of these countries have multiple languages. Switzerland is multiple official languages. India has multiple official languages, so a person being bilingual is good, but a country having multiple languages can be problematic. Please see the next video.